Senator Booker,
Bill,
thank you for coming on up close.
It's great to have a actually more in-depth conversation.
Zoom, we've done everything for Zoom.
Yes,
right?
yeah. So it's nice to be in your studio.
It's really great. Your first time here.
Thank
so
you. Yes,
we welcome you here and thank you for coming. Want to make this a big discussion. Lots to talk about.
Yes.
This is Monday. We're taping this,
Yes.
and we have things going on in Washington between the war in Ukraine and Russia and what's happening in the White House. What is your take on it so far? Again, things could change, but we wanted to get your take.
Yeah, look, this is a president that said he could solve this war, end it in one day. And it's been many, many months now. And he has this permissiveness towards Putin that is very dangerous. It's alarmed our most critical allies in NATO, and even coming out of his summit with him in Alaska, where he gave Putin so much of what he wanted in terms of just the profile, come to America for the first time in years. And then he actually gave him concessions that I think are really troublesome, saying you don't have to have a ceasefire, you don't have to stop the carnage that you're inflicting on the Ukrainian people. Let's just try to make some kind of land swap. So he's already started the negotiation far more in Putin's camp, and now we're going to see how this goes in the meeting that they're having today.
Trump supporters say, hey, this is just him setting this up for what he's going to get.
Well, the art of the deal guy that we've seen is this guy that has led to 6, 7 bankruptcies when he was a business person. The last thing we want to see him do is score another bankruptcy for the people of Ukraine, who have been nobly fighting against the aggressions into the territorial incursions by Putin. There's been too much death, too much destruction. We need to find an honorable end to this, not on Putin's terms, but really something that's advantageous, not just to the Ukrainians, but to NATO and America.
Isn't it something that we have all this war in different places, and no one is saying, let's just stop this. We can figure this out, but let's stop the death and the killing.
Oh, I love that you said that. That's why from the situation in Gaza, the situation in Ukraine, the situation in Sudan, a ceasefire up front, but Trump backed away from that. He didn't demand from Putin, let's stop the fighting and go to the negotiation table. What he did instead was saying, let the fighting continue, and Putin is pressing his advantage right now, as opposed to what I think is really important. Let's just stop the deaths. Stop the deaths that are going on.
Right. Well, but he does seem to have the big cards in play here.
Yes.
Let's talk about some other things. The first 7 months of President Trump's second term, and despite your nationwide record-breaking speech to the Senate, 24 hours and 18 minutes, if I'm correct, he's been able to push through what he wanted. And he pushed away what your speech was about.
Well, first of all, I'm grateful for the people that supported me in that 25 hours and the power that it had in really igniting opposition and sort of being one of those moments where you help be a part of a larger movement of people saying, wait a minute, we can fight back. We can stand up to this man. We do not just have to take what he's doing. In this time especially, we need more people in the Democratic Party in particular that are going to stand up and fight. And what are we fighting, though? It's very clear that we named this. What Donald Trump has done in this first 200 plus days is exactly the opposite of what he would say he was going to do for people. We're seeing grocery prices go up, healthcare costs go up. We're seeing an attack on hospitals from rural to a lot of the ones that we have in this greater New York metropolitan area, the sort of frontline hospitals that deal with a lot of our charity care. You see him pushing up energy costs and attacking small businesses in our region because of this tariff chaos that he's brought. So a lot of these things are hurting Americans, and it's something that we've really got to start to call out.
But Senator, it seems to me that what you really wanted to do was, raise the flag in your speech, and it didn't stop him at all.
Well, again, this is not going to be a light switch that we've been able to flip. What I have seen from his first term till now is we've got to build a movement of people that are engaged and aware. We are already starting to see that. Take, for example, his immigration policies. We all know we needed to stop the flow at the border and not allow criminals who shouldn't be here to stay here. But he has so far overreached that we're seeing his numbers now underwater, that the majority of Americans are disapproving of his disappearing people from streets, disapproving of him going into judicial hearings and arresting people who are trying to comply with the law. You're seeing more and more people disapprove of what he's doing, and I'm telling you right now, as he's leaving the 40% approval, getting into the 30s, that is starting to enter the calculus of a lot of Republicans in Congress, who I'm hoping, if the pressure stays on, they will find a backbone and begin to stop ceding their power to Donald Trump, but standing up to him.
I want to get into the big issues that everyone's facing now.
Yes.
And it's going to get kind of hairy for a lot of people. But before we get into that, I want to ask you what you think your Democratic Party should be doing as it looks ahead into the 28.
Well, I'm one of those
2026.
Democrats that say it's time for us to have a lot of new leadership, new fighting, new people emerging in the Democratic Party that more and more are showing not just what we stand against, but what we stand for. I think we have a lot of problems right now with people trusting our party, and I think leaders should be less concerned about the party and more concerned with the people. Are you one of those people that are going to stand up and fight for folks? Are you connecting with them and helping to show what the future can be? Donald Trump wants to be the center of the story, and I know we're going to spend a lot of time talking about him. But I believe we as a nation, especially as we're at this generational mark where the last of the baby boomer leaders like Donald Trump are going to leave the stage, what does the next generation of leadership look like? Is it leadership that divides, demeans, degrades, or is it leadership that inspires us to understand that together we can create a nation that's more affordable, that elevates the potential and well-being of our children, that keeps people safe, but also embraces the extraordinary technological changes that are coming to make sure that America is not run over like a wave hitting us, but riding that wave towards a better future for all.
How many Democratic Party members are there that fit that category?
I think there's new leaders coming up across this country. I'm excited about, I'm up for re-election to really turn to New Jersey next year and say, yes, these are the things I'm fighting against, but let's start beginning to vision together about what we're for. Remember Martin Luther King on the March on Washington. My mom was on the Mall organizing for that event. She always told me he didn't stand up and unleash a list of grievances, didn't call out Bull Connor or George Wallace.
Right.
What he did is put forth a prophetic vision that galvanized this country, their moral imagination to what we can be. When I look at the American flag, I see a flag that for many people, they've lost their faith in it. I want to reignite that spirit to believe like a conviction like Langston Hughes, America never was America to me, but I swear this oath, America will be. We need to redeem the dream of America, and it's time that we start talking in a specific way about how more Americans, if we come together and fight for this country, fight against those people that are trying to tear down our democracy and hurt people in a time of meanness and cruelty, get back to fighting for a country that's more inclusive, but more importantly, where we can start doing so much better for American families.
Some of what you said in your big long speech last couple of months ago, several months ago,
I didn't want to pit
March.
people against each other. I didn't want to demean people who are in the Republican Party. I wanted to say, wait a minute, we share a lot of values. If we can stop being torn down, like there's entire corporations that benefit from us being at each other's throat. If we can start getting back to the common sense, pragmatic things we know will make us all better off, more prosperous and safer. And immigration is a great example. When I turn on some channels, all I see is fear, 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 fear. When anybody who knows our economy knows that if we could widen pathways of legal immigration, we could see an economic boom, entrepreneurialism, whether it's the people that we called essential workers during the pandemic or the people that my university heads in New Jersey are saying, how could we be kicking people out of their country after they got a degree in things that half of Congress can't spell?
So how is that happening? How is that happening? We've seen in the last couple of days, we have seen people beaten in Washington, some guy who was a delivery man,
yes.
and they grabbed him up like that. We see people who get arrested and then, out of the country. That's what they want. Yeah. They have not done anything terribly wrong, right? They came in here over the 30-year period, whatever
yes.
it was. There's not people breaking the laws, and I know Mr. Trump says they're breaking the laws by coming in, but they're not doing anything. In fact, they're helping the economy.
No. First of all, we need to deal with the poverty of empathy we have in this country right now, where people look at that and don't understand how it affects them. I love what James Baldwin wrote to Angela Davis when she was unjustly arrested. She would eventually get off, but he wrote her a letter in prison. If they come for you in the morning, they're going to come for me at night. If you are so easily allowing the due process rights of some Americans to be eroded or some people in our country being eroded, understand that that's an assault on your well-being, on your potential rights and liberties as well. We have got to get more people to care. The power of the civil rights movement, again, forgive me, I'm a son of two civil rights activists. The power of the civil rights movement is they took good people who are on the couch as spectators in this democracy and called to their conscience and got them to be more involved. Remember what King said is what we have to repent for in this day and age, It's not just the vitriolic words and violent actions of the bad people, but the appalling silence and inaction of the good people.
So where are Americans who are taking up that cause?
So this is why I've done things differently, whether it's Hakeem Jeffries and I doing a all-day sit-in on the Capitol steps. 100 million Americans engage with that content, or 25 hours on the Senate floor. I'm going to continue to take leadership instruction from the great late John Lewis, who told me, continue to cause good trouble. Continue to do things that people don't expect you to do. We're thinking of a lot of things we're going to be doing in the fall to try to highlight the crimes that are going on in our country, which are more from the White House than some of the people that are being arrested.
What are you going to do to make that happen, and what's it going to surprise us with?
Well, I don't want to put my playbook out there, but
just between you and me.
Yeah. I know you have a very wide viewership in New Jersey. I want you to know.
Good.
A lot of fans there. I want the folks to know already, leadership is not a title or a position, it's action and example. And we need more people out there. I had a person in January, February, get in my face in Newark, New Jersey, in a supermarket, and they said to me, why don't Democrats do this? And I said, hey, we're in the minority. Why don't Democrats do that? Oh, we can't call. And he goes, are you an American or American't? Because you're making so many excuses, Booker. Where's this guy I saw do a 10-day hunger strike in the projects to draw attention to it when you were a city council person? Where's the guy that I saw move into a mobile home for 6 months in Newark and park it on the drug corners when the city wasn't doing anything about it? You were out there doing something about it. That's what we want from leadership. And it was like a true shot of adrenaline to me to saying, wait a minute, back in February, you're right. I'm not doing everything I can. In fact, all of us can do more. But if I want more from you, I better show that same kind of leadership. And that's why you've been seeing me getting a lot more feisty in my fights in the Senate. That's why I've been traveling to Republican districts and naming people, calling out the challenges that are going on, and the urgency for people to get involved. It's time for a different kind of leadership. It's time for people that will stand and fight, and that's why I've been bringing that in this time of Trump.
Let's talk about some of the real problems that Americans are going to face.
Yes.
Where do you want to start? We start with worries about Social Security and what's going to happen to her.
Yeah, well, already they've taken a battle axe to Social Security that has laying off thousands of people and making it harder for people that have Social Security challenges even to get the customer service they deserve. There is nobody in the United States Senate who ran something. There are people who ran businesses, governors, former county executives. I'm a former mayor who cut government as much as I did. When I was mayor of the city of Newark in a recession, we cut our government 25%. It was hard, it was difficult, it was painful, but most of my departments got more efficient and more effective. The lines that used to wrap around City Hall just to pay a parking ticket, gone. The waits to get a pothole filled that used to be for months turned out to be hours. There's a way to make government more efficient. Donald Trump is going the opposite way.
He says he's going the same way you are.
He took out a chainsaw and started cutting veteran jobs, started cutting customer service jobs, started cutting the resources that even to pay our taxes. They make it more difficult for Americans to get the services they deserve from their government. Donald Trump is not more interested in more efficiency or effectiveness. He's interested in making government so bad that more people will turn against it and turn to him in this chaos that he's creating.
And ironically, on the 90th anniversary this year of Social Security.
Yes.
And people need that.
It is a time where we should be expanding Social Security benefits for people. And trust me, I'm a fiscal, prudent, pragmatic person. We have massive deficits. But there is a way within our tax system to help people that are struggling, like senior citizens who are finding that their Social Security checks still leave them at the poverty line. Is a way to actually increase those benefits and make sure that we have people in America who are struggling right now. Most Americans cannot take a simple $500 or $1,000 accident or something happening, emergency in their homes without going into debt. And we've seen the American bargain. This is why people are right to be upset. In my parents' generation, 90% of Americans did better than their parents did. That's the American dream. My kids are going to do better than us. My generation, X-Geners, it's down to 50%. Millennials, even lower.
Right.
That's what we need to be addressing.
Here's a stat that I think applies to a lot of major cities in the country, because here in New York City, the person who's in charge of elder people, who's a person in charge of that for the city, says that right now, 21% of the people who live in New York City are over the age of 60. And come 2030, it's going to rise to 25%.
Yes.
And that's happening in all the big cities.
Yes.
And what are we going to do with them?
We have an elder crisis in our country because all of these folks who've worked all their lives don't have the retirement security, are going to be more dependent on health care costs that are going up and up and up and up. Donald Trump has attacked Medicaid. He's going to attack Medicare as well. This is their plan to privatize a lot of these programs. We cannot let that happen. Our elders deserve respect, security, and affordability in their elder years. And what I see with Donald Trump doing is the exact opposite. More insecurity, more chaos, more higher costs for those people. And it does not have to be that way, and we can change that.
Multi-billionaires still don't pay the taxes. That could help solve our financial
So this is the thing that frustrated me. We under Biden put a lot of money into the IRS, not to audit people making $150,000, $250,000, million and less a year, but to go after the people with the most complicated tax returns. And in that group, there was tens of billions of dollars in unpaid taxes. Now we don't even have the capacity to audit them. He's come in and fired all these people in the IRS who were
cut it a lot, yeah.
Cut it a lot, who were focused on going after the biggest tax cheats in our country. And that is ridiculous. You're allowing people to get away with what I think is taking money away from Americans in order to pad their pockets when they're already some of the wealthiest amongst us.
And so speaking of cutting, healthcare is a big issue. And it's not just for elder people.
No.
Young people are going to have a hard time too.
Yeah. What he's done is not just attack Medicaid, which is going to cause hospitals to close, costs to go up, but he's also attacked the Affordable Care Act. That seems to have missed a lot of people's focus. He's actually reduced the amount of subsidies in the healthcare markets. We're going to see over 15 million Americans have their premiums go up as a result, and a lot of people seeing their premiums go up are going to make the decision to not have health insurance at all. So they're not going to get primary care physicians, which means they're not going to have early detection or prevention, which is going to drive up healthcare costs overall for all Americans and put more pressure on hospitals where people are going to be going for their primary care when something's become an emergency, go there for that. This is not the way to run a healthcare system. And I've met Republicans in New Jersey, Democrats in New Jersey, people involved with our hospital systems, and are saying there is chaos and calamity coming because of what Donald Trump has done today.
Could the Senate, could the Congress have seen some of this coming?
Oh
and
my
and
gosh.
where did you fall short?
So-
you as a member of Congress.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, this is the conversations I have in private with Republicans who say this big, beautiful bill is bad for my state. It's going to hurt rural hospitals. Some of them have the courage to say it publicly, but none of them had the courage to vote against it. That's the tragedy we have right now. Jefferson said this clearly. He said, when the people are afraid of their government, there is tyranny and disaster. But when the government is afraid of people, there is liberty and success. Well, we don't have that right now. We've got Republican congresspeople who are more afraid of Donald Trump than they are of hurting their own constituents. So they're surrendering their power. They're being complicit in what Donald Trump is doing, and that is creating the danger. You know how many people have said to me, oh, these tariffs are bad, Republican colleagues. Oh, Hegseth is unqualified. Oh, when somebody uses Signal it includes a reporter about battle plans,
right,
we should hold investigations. But they're not doing it because they're terrified of the president and what he's going to do to them. That means that we're not having checks and balances in our democracy. That means that the very framework that our founders, these imperfect geniuses, put into place is not working, and we're tilting towards authoritarianism.
There's some conversation, a lot of it, in fact, and worry among some, that Mr. Trump wants to work here in New York City, back where his home state was. And would there be a candidate that he's supporting? Perhaps, and that's worrying a lot of people. But it's not just in New York, it's other cities too. We're seeing that happen. We're seeing it in Washington, D.C. right this very now.
Well, first of all, look what he's done to my city. He's arrested my mayor. He put my mayor in handcuffs and took him to jail.
An elected official.
An elected official, mayor of the city of Newark.
Another elected official, he yells.
Yes, and then the federal judge said, you're crazy, threw the case out. He's now got a case going, arrested by Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, who's now facing unjust prosecution. He threw Alex Padilla onto the ground, a senator from California, put him in handcuffs. Again, an unjust violent action against a sitting United States senator. He's threatening by name judges, trolling federal judges on Twitter. We're seeing threats and violence against our federal judges go up. We are creating an environment that does not feel like America. It feels like countries in the third world that are descending into chaos and dictatorship. This is a dangerous time. And we cannot allow Donald Trump to disrespect our constitutional norms and practices, or to have this kind of rhetoric and even violence against elected officials. We need to start respecting us. When Chris Christie was my governor and I was the mayor of the largest city, we found a way to work together. We said, well, let's stand strong on our differences, but let's double down on the things we agree on, and we found a way forward. That's not the way that Donald Trump does it, and New York and New Jersey are suffering. I had a fight on the Senate floor with even some people within my own party about, do not let a grant program, a bipartisan program, be passed when he's singling out New York and New Jersey and saying they don't qualify for these grants. In this case, it was for our police departments. We cannot allow Donald Trump to pit American against American, red state against blue state, to divide our country. New York and New Jersey are in his crosshairs for agricultural money, in his crosshairs for transportation dollars, in his crosshairs for grants to our police departments. That's something that they're going to have. And you know how tough New York and New Jersey folks are. He's going to really have a fight with me if he continues this way.
And there are National Guards members who are being called in.
Yes.
And that's not what their job is either.
Yes. It is, as a guy who ran a police department, who pushed crime down in the city of Newark, I am telling you right now, to put untrained people in the situation, our own military, where they're going to have to play the roles of police officers and not even coordinating and working with local officials, that is a recipe for danger. It's not about making us more safe.
The president says, Senator, that he's helping people get out of violence, and that's what he's worrying about, the populace.
Let me tell you the ways he's made us more dangerous. Number one, he is taking people out of the ATF and the FBI, people that were investigating violent crimes, criminal conspiracies, and more, and put them into his ICE work to take people out of schools, take people out of churches, take people out of courts that are not a threat to us to jail. He is shifting around law enforcement resources away from the most dangerous crimes, like gun violence, which we know in our area, and we've seen some bad shootings in New York of recent, that gun violence should be the focus. It's the number one killer of our children. But he's trying to tell Americans what's more important is I get that nanny or that construction worker or that agricultural worker and send them to a country that they're not even from, to a gulag that's going to torture them. That's not who America is. If you stand for public safety, support our local cops in New York and New Jersey. If you stand for public safety, go back to supporting the ATF and the FBI and the agencies that investigate narcotics trafficking, which we see a fentanyl crisis in our area. Focus your resources where the most dangerous crimes are, as opposed to draining resources from them. And I'll add to that what's going on in the U.S. Attorney's Office in New Jersey.
So kind of yes, and there has been a lot of coverage of that, and the judge has said what?
The judges have said that Alina Habba is not to be the U.S. attorney.
Mr. Trump's former attorney.
His former personal attorney,
yes,
who represented him in the case that he lost for, I think it was sexual harassment against E. Jean Carroll. And so what we have now is you have a justice system in New Jersey saying this should not be the person. He's insisting on it. So guess what's happening to criminal cases, murder trials in Newark and New Jersey? They're all backing up. He is not about public safety. He's about chaos, corruption, and cruelty.
We've got about a minute and a half left. We could talk about this for a couple hours, of course, all these other problems. But I can't help but feel like you sound like someone running for president.
Look, I'm running for re-election in New Jersey.
I understand
I'm hoping, please go to CoryBooker.com and help me because I've got MAGA superstars threatening to throw millions and millions of dollars against my race. I'm focused on New Jersey and my fight, but I am not in any way saying that I don't understand something. I am a national leader. It benefits New Jersey that I've been able to run around this country and help other people on both sides of the aisle. In fact, I was just talking to a Republican who wants me to come out to their state to talk about actually some of the work we've done together. I'm going to continue to be someone that wants to shape the future, not of just the Democratic Party, but of America. We have allowed ourselves to go into a terrible way where people are losing their faith in who we are as a nation. When they look up at that flag, they're not inspired to common cause and shared purpose. We need to get back to that. What Donald Trump is a symptom of a deeper problem. We need to redeem the dream in America, and I'm going to be one of those people talking specifically about how do we get there.
Senator Cory Booker, you come here on Up Close and announce you're running for office when you want to, right?
I will. We're going to announce my running for re-election very soon. CoryBooker.com. Please go and help us out.
And then anything else later, too.
Thank you, my brother.
All right.
Thank you.
Good luck to you,
Thank
sir.
you very much. Appreciate you.